He left her standing in the rain, pregnant, shaking, and unheard, because a gala mattered more than her voice. And that was the night Naomi Brooks stopped waiting. But what kind of woman disappears like that and comes back untouchable? The ballroom glows gold years later. Champagne glasses clink, and Ethan Caldwell, billionaire, untouchable, always in control, suddenly forgets how to breathe when she walks past him without a glance, her heels steady, her presence shifting the entire room like gravity itself. People don't ignore Ethan, but she does, and that silence hits harder than any words ever could. Within seconds, whispers ripple through investors. Naomi isn't just back. She owns a controlling stake in the company he built, the same company that's been quietly bleeding for months while he chased bigger deals, blind to the cracks only one person ever knew how to fix. She had been the one reviewing the numbers at 2 a.m., the one catching what no one else saw, the one holding everything together while he called her temporary. Now the screens flicker, projections stabilize, and the board shifts toward her decisions without hesitation. Ethan finally sees it. She was never small. He just chose not to look. His jaw tightens as a file slides across the table, her name on the top, a date he can't forget but never understood. And as he reaches for it, Naomi calmly closes her folder, stands up, and turns away, leaving him with one breath left before everything he ignored finally reveals itself. The room does not recover after she leaves. It fractures. Within minutes, two senior partners start arguing over projections she just corrected, numbers slipping again without her steady hand, and Ethan feels it immediately, control fading in places he never noticed before. His assistant leans in, voice low, telling him the stabilization model Naomi used has been running quietly for months, and without her input it is already failing. He blinks, caught off guard, because he never approved anything like that, yet somehow she had been holding the system together behind his back. A missed call flashes on his phone from legal, then another from finance, both urgent, both tied to decisions she just made before walking out. He tries to focus, but every screen in front of him starts showing small errors stacking up, like cracks spreading through glass. Across the table, a board member mutters that Naomi prevented a major loss last quarter, something that never even reached Ethan's desk. That lands harder than anything else, because it means she was not just helping, she was shielding him. His position shifts in the room without anyone saying it out loud, authority thinning, questions rising. Someone asks where she is going next, and no one has an answer. Another executive quietly admits that competitors have been trying to recruit her for years, and now she is finally available. Ethan grips the edge of the table, realizing he is not just losing a person, he is losing the one piece that kept everything from collapsing. The file in front of him feels heavier now, like it holds more than numbers, like it holds everything he chose not to see. He opens it halfway, just enough to catch a date, a diagnosis, and his own name typed where it should not be, and his breath stops as one thought hits him harder than anything else. If this is only the beginning, then what exactly has she been carrying all this time without him ever knowing? 3 days later, Naomi Brooks walks into a private investor meeting in downtown Chicago, not as a guest, but as the name people have been waiting for. The room shifts when she enters, not loudly, but enough that conversations pause mid-sentence. A senior partner stands up to greet her first, offering his hand with a level of respect Ethan has never seen given so quickly. Someone else moves their chair, so she can sit at the head of the table without being asked. It is subtle, but undeniable, she belongs there. Within minutes, she starts speaking, calm and clear, laying out a recovery strategy for a struggling tech firm, and no one interrupts her. They listen. They take notes. One executive even nods before she finishes, already convinced. Just months ago, she was waiting outside in the cold for someone who never showed up, and now people are adjusting their schedules to fit hers. The contrast is sharp enough to feel. A younger analyst leans toward another and whispers that Naomi rebuilt a failing division in under a year without outside funding, something most firms could not survive. Across the table, an investor calls her the most precise strategist he has seen in a decade, and no one disagrees. Back in his office, Ethan watches a live update from the same meeting feed he was not invited to, his name absent from the list, hers highlighted at the top. His jaw tightens as he realizes the room is moving forward without him. And worse, They trust her more than they ever trusted him. A notification pops up, another company requesting a private session with Naomi, offering terms that would pull her even further out of his reach. He stares at the screen, the gap between what he thought she was and what she has become growing too wide to ignore. And then a final message appears from his legal team, marked urgent, stating that Naomi has just filed a motion that could shift control of his company entirely. And for the first time, Ethan understands he is no longer deciding what happens next, she is. He does not wait this time. He shows up uninvited. The conference room is already half full when Ethan steps in, and the first thing he notices is not Naomi. It is the way everyone else is positioned around her. Chairs angled toward her. Screens turned to her side. A quiet center of gravity that he used to command. She is standing at the far end of the table, reviewing a document with two senior partners who both pause when she finishes, nodding like they just received final approval. No one speaks over her. No one rushes her. It is controlled, steady, and completely out of his reach. Ethan walks forward, faster than he means to, his voice cutting in sharper than expected as he calls her name. For a second, the room stills. Naomi turns, calm, composed, no surprise in her eyes, just recognition without warmth. That alone throws him off balance. He is used to reactions, to impact, but she gives him none. A partner steps slightly aside to make space for her, not for him. That shift is small, but it lands hard. Ethan starts speaking, asking questions that sound more like demands, trying to pull the moment back under his control, but Naomi does not match his pace. She lets him finish. Then she answers, simple and direct, correcting his assumptions in front of everyone without raising her voice. "You are asking the wrong question," she says, sliding a report across the table toward him, not waiting for him to take it. The risk is not what happens next. It is what has already been ignored. A few people glance at Ethan, not with fear, but with doubt. That is new. He opens the report, scanning quickly, and realizes it outlines problems he never saw, solutions already in motion, decisions already made without him. His grip tightens. Naomi turns back to the group, continuing as if he is no longer part of the center, assigning next steps, and people respond immediately. One executive even says, "We will follow your lead on this," without hesitation. Ethan feels it then, clear and undeniable. She did not rise into his world. She built one that moved without him. He tries again, softer this time, asking when she plans to discuss this with him directly, but Naomi pauses just long enough to look at him, and her answer is steady, almost quiet. "I already did. You just were not listening." The room does not react, but something shifts inside him that he cannot ignore, because for the first time, he understands this is not a misunderstanding. It is a separation he created. Naomi closes her folder, preparing to leave again, and as she steps past him, someone stops her with a new document, marked confidential, requesting her final signature, and Ethan catches a single line on the top page that makes his chest tighten, a clause that suggests control of his company may already be changing hands. And this time, he is not sure if he is already too late to stop it. The moment she signs that document, the room does not just shift, it locks into her direction. A senior legal advisor steps forward immediately, confirming the clause in front of everyone, stating clearly that Naomi now holds decision authority over a critical division Ethan has always controlled. It is not subtle. It is spoken out loud, documented, witnessed. Ethan reacts before he can stop himself, questioning the validity, pushing back, trying to slow it down, but the response comes from legal, not her, calm and firm. Everything has already been reviewed, approved, and executed within full compliance. For the first time, his voice does not carry weight in the room. It hangs, unanswered. Naomi does not argue with him. She does not need to. She simply hands off another set of instructions to the operations lead, who nods and moves without hesitation, bypassing Ethan completely. That is when it becomes visible to everyone, including him. The chain of command has changed. A screen updates behind them, showing a real-time shift in reporting lines, and Ethan's name moves lower, replaced in one section by hers. No announcement, just a quiet confirmation of what is already happening. Someone at the far end of the table says, almost under their breath, but loud enough to carry, "She stabilized this before we even knew it was broken." Another adds that her strategy prevented a loss that would have cost millions last quarter, something Ethan had publicly taken credit for at the time. The air tightens. Ethan does not respond to that. He cannot. Instead, he looks at Naomi, really looks this time, and sees something he missed before, not just control, but distance, like she has already moved past needing anything from him. He steps closer, lowering his voice, asking how long she has been planning this, but she does not answer directly. She meets his eyes for a brief second and says, "Long enough to know I would not ask for permission again." It lands harder than anything else said in the room. Around them, people continue working, but their attention has shifted. They are watching her now, not him. Ethan feels it in real time, influence slipping, decisions no longer routing through him, conversations happening around him instead of with him. He reaches for the edge of the table, steadying himself as another document is placed in front of Naomi, this one thicker, marked with internal audit seals. She opens it without hesitation, flipping to a page that makes one of the executives visibly tense. Ethan catches a glimpse of a familiar date again, the same one from the file earlier, tied now to financial records he never reviewed. His chest tightens as a new realization forms, not just what she has become, but what she might have uncovered. And before he can speak, the legal advisor announces that the next session will involve disclosures from that period. Disclosures that could redefine more than just ownership. And for the first time, Ethan understands that the next truth coming is not about the company. It is about something he was never meant to see. The next session does not start with discussion, it starts with evidence. The audit screen lights up, and this time it is not projections, it is archived records, time-stamped, signed, and traced back years. Ethan watches as a timeline unfolds across the display, major turning points in his company highlighted one by one, each labeled as milestones he built his reputation on. But then a second layer appears underneath, quieter, almost hidden, showing internal notes, adjustments, and emergency corrections made in the background. Naomi's name is attached to more of them than he expects. At first it feels like coincidence, then it becomes a pattern. A financial collapse that never happened, flagged and resolved overnight. A deal that almost failed, restructured hours before signing. A system failure that could have shut everything down, prevented before it reached him. He remembers those moments as his wins, moments where everything worked out, where he was praised for leadership and instinct. Now he sees something else entirely. He sees that he never walked into chaos, because she handled it before it reached him. A senior analyst speaks up, not looking at Ethan but at the data, saying plainly that most of the company's early stability depended on unseen corrections, and Naomi was leading that effort long before anyone formally recognized her. Another executive adds that she refused promotion at the time, choosing to stay behind the scenes because, in their words, someone had to keep things from breaking. Ethan feels that line hit deeper than anything else so far. He had thought she was slow to grow, too quiet, too passive. Now it becomes clear she was carrying more than anyone knew. He scrolls further, hands unsteady, and finds internal messages she never sent to him, drafts saved and closed, warnings about risks he never noticed, suggestions he never heard. His confidence starts to crack, replaced by something unfamiliar, the sense that his entire understanding of the past is incomplete. He looks up, scanning the room, and sees no one surprised by this except him. That realization lands hardest. He was the only one who did not see her. The only one who chose not to. The weight of that shifts everything. Then the final document appears, tied to that same date again. But this time it is not financial. It is personal, marked confidential, linked to leave records and medical clearance. And the legal advisor states that this file explains her sudden disappearance years ago. Ethan's chest tightens as he steps forward without thinking, because now he understands this is not just about the company anymore. And just before the file is opened, Naomi steps into the room again, earlier than expected, looking directly at him for the first time since everything began. And in that moment, he knows the next words she says are going to change what he believes about that night forever. He does not wait for permission this time. He steps forward the moment she enters, cutting through the room before anyone else can speak, his voice lower but urgent, almost unfamiliar even to himself as he says her name again, not as a command, but as something closer to a plea. Naomi stops, but only for a second, her posture steady, her expression unchanged, and that small pause is the only opening he gets. "We need to talk," he says, faster now, trying to catch control before it slips further. "About that night. About everything you did. I did not know. I should have known." The words come out uneven, not rehearsed, not controlled. That alone shifts the energy around them. People notice. Naomi turns fully this time, meeting his eyes, but there is no rush in her, no reaction that matches his urgency. "You did know enough," she replies, calm, clear, not raising her voice. "You just chose what was convenient." That lands, and he flinches slightly, not physically, but in the way his next words hesitate. He tries again, stepping closer, lowering his tone like he used to when he wanted to bring things back under control. "Naomi, I am trying to fix this." She does not step back, but she does not move closer either. The distance between them stays exactly the same, deliberate. "You are trying to understand it," she says. "Those are not the same thing." A security coordinator appears quietly near her side, not aggressive, just present, a clear signal that access to her is no longer direct, no longer assumed. Ethan notices it immediately. That detail hits harder than anything she says. He is no longer the one who can reach her whenever he wants. Around them, the room continues moving, but attention lingers. Someone calls Naomi's name from across the table, asking for her input on the next phase, and she responds without breaking composure, shifting focus away from him as if the conversation is already finished. Ethan's hand tightens at his side. He is not used to being left mid-sentence. "You left without saying anything." He pushes, the edge returning, but now mixed with something else, something less certain. Naomi pauses again, but this time she does not turn fully back. "I said everything," she answers quietly. "You just were not there to hear it." The imbalance is complete now. He is the one reaching. She is the one deciding if there is space. And there is not. An assistant steps in, handing Naomi a sealed envelope marked for final review, and as she takes it, the legal advisor announces that the contents relate directly to the personal disclosure tied to that same date, and that once opened, it will formalize a decision that cannot be reversed, and Ethan feels it then, sharp and immediate. Whatever is inside that envelope is not just going to explain the past. It is going to close every door he thought he still had open. The room clears slower than usual, like no one wants to miss what is about to happen. But eventually it is just the two of them standing across the long table, the envelope still unopened in Naomi's hand. Ethan steps closer again, but this time he does not rush, his voice lower, steadier, but carrying something heavier, something real. "Tell me what happened that night." Naomi watches him for a moment, not cold, not angry, just certain, and that certainty is what makes it harder to stand there. She places the envelope on the table between them, not opening it yet, not hiding it either. "I waited for you," she says, simple, direct, no drama in her tone. "I called you 3 times. I sent messages. I told you I needed you." Ethan's jaw tightens, because he remembers none of that clearly, only fragments, excuses he made, things that felt important at the time. "I was going to come," he says, but even as the words leave him, they sound weak. Naomi does not argue. She does not raise her voice. "You did not," she replies. Silence fills the space for a second, heavier than anything said. Then she continues, just as steady. "I was pregnant, Ethan. I lost the baby that night. Alone." The words land without force, but they break something anyway. He freezes, the room around him fading, because this is the part he never saw, never even imagined. His voice drops, almost gone. "Why did you not tell me?" Naomi holds his gaze, and this time there is something in her eyes, not pain, not anger, just clarity. "I did," she says. "You just were not there to listen." That line settles everything. There is no space left for excuses. Ethan's shoulders shift, the weight of it finally real, not abstract, not delayed. "I would have stayed," he says, quieter now, but Naomi shakes her head once, small, final. "No," she answers, "you would have come late." That is the moment he understands fully, not just what happened, but what it meant. He did not lose her because she left. He lost her because he never showed up when it mattered. Naomi reaches for the envelope again, sliding it slightly toward him, but not enough for him to take it. "This is not about what you feel now," she says, calm and clear. "It is about what you chose then." He looks at her, searching for something, any opening, but there is none. No anger to fix, no tears to respond to, just distance. There is no version of my life now where you are part of it, she says, steady, undeniable. The finality of it does not rise, it settles. Quiet. Absolute. Ethan does not argue this time. He cannot. Because for the first time, he sees it exactly as it is. Naomi does not wait for a response. She turns slightly, ready to walk away again, then pauses just long enough to add, "You are not too late to understand. You are just too late to matter." She leaves the envelope behind as she steps away, and Ethan stands there, staring at it, knowing whatever is inside will not change her decision, but will show him just how much he lost the moment he opens it. The envelope stays on the table long after she leaves, untouched at first, like opening it would make everything final in a way he is not ready to face. The room empties completely this time. No one waiting, no one watching, just the quiet hum of the building and the weight of what is left behind. Ethan finally reaches for it, slower than before, his movements no longer sharp, no longer controlled. Inside are not just documents, but a timeline he cannot argue with, medical records, leave approvals, internal notes, all tied together with one truth he missed when it mattered most. He does not react loudly. There is no outburst, just a long pause where everything settles into place in a way it never did before. Across the city, Naomi steps into a different room, a smaller one, quieter, where decisions are already waiting for her. People greet her with calm respect, not surprise anymore, because her presence there is expected now. She sits, reviews, signs, moves forward. No hesitation, no looking back. Her life is not built around what she lost. It is built on what she chose to become after. There is no trace of the woman who waited outside in the rain, because that version of her no longer exists. She does not need to prove anything. She does not need anyone to see her. She already sees herself clearly. Back in his office, Ethan stands by the window as the city moves without him, realizing that everything he thought he controlled was never fully his to begin with. The success he carried, the stability he relied on, the person he overlooked, all of it fits together now in a way that leaves no space for denial. He does not reach for his phone. He does not try to call her again. That instinct is gone, replaced by something quieter, heavier, an understanding that there is no access left to regain. The difference between then and now is simple but final. She once waited for him to show up. Now she does not wait at all. The distance between those two truths is everything. As the light outside shifts and the reflection in the glass sharpens, Ethan sees himself standing alone in a place that used to feel full, and for the first time, he does not look away from it, because he finally understands what it cost to be too late, and she no longer needs to be seen by him to know exactly who she is.